Hello and welcome to another episode of the Red Zone podcast with me, Fletch. Well, we finally did it. The international break is over. We finally made it through the international break. Club football returns this weekend. Liverpool return this weekend against Huddersfield. We'll get onto that in a bit. Lot to get through today. A lot to get through. We've got transfer rumours, various rumours from players. It's mainly players going out, but we have got I think we've got one rumour of a possible incoming transfer at the end of the season. We're going to review a little bit of the season so far, and then we are going to predict or preview the Huddersfield game that's happening this Saturday at 5:30. But yeah, I'll talk about the international break a little bit. Why not? International break's been and gone. Like I said in the last podcast I did, I think it came at the right time for Liverpool. I think both international breaks, on reflection, have actually come at the right time for Liverpool. I think with the way we managed it, we were just making it through to the international break, because on the first international break we played with virtually the same team for all four of the games that we played, and you could tell tiredness was setting in, especially towards the latter stages of that Leicester game, where we were not necessarily hanging on to a 2-1 lead, but it wasn't exactly comfortable, let's put it that way. I think, like I say, we've managed it. We had obviously a very difficult run last time out, and I think we managed both runs of games to the international break really, really well. And it could have been better, obviously, but it could have been a hell of a lot worse. I mean, if you'd have offered us to be at this stage of the season level on points with Manchester City, just a little bit behind on goal difference, but we know we can easily smash some of the teams that we've got coming up by 4-5 goals. We'd have bit your hand off. It's probably actually more than what we were expecting, to be honest, because we were expecting a title challenge, but I don't think many of us were expecting to be undefeated at this stage. I don't think many of us were expecting to still be sort of level pegging with the likes of Manchester City. So we've done very well so far, and long may it continue. I'll review more of the season in a little bit, but a bit of transfer rumours going around. The main one that's come out over the recent few days is about Alberto Moreno. Now, apparently there's not going to be any contract renewal for Moreno, so he is actually free to leave Liverpool at the end of the season. And of course, when obviously a player enters the final 6 months of his career or his contract, he is free to sign a pre-contract agreement with another club, which means in January he can literally talk to anyone that they take a fancy on him, and he can talk to them and they can sort out some sort of deal. The Spanish left-back signed in 2014. He joined from Sevilla for £12 million. He promised a hell of a lot, but it was just... And he's a strange one, because I like him, and I think a lot of Liverpool fans like him. It's just he didn't deliver, or what he did deliver was just constant mistakes. That was his only problem. He promised a lot when he first came. He had a lot of pace about him. We thought we were going to get a very attacking left back. He had a lot of pace about him. I still remember the goal he scored against Tottenham, for example, in which he basically stole the ball, ran the length of the pitch, and then finished it very well, which was a great goal. But it's a shame that obviously, this is a guy who is now being seen as a backup player, because obviously Andy Robertson has come in last season and he's done an excellent job at left back for us, and has done much better than Moreno has in the few years that he's been here, more than him. But this is a guy who promised a lot, but he just made really bad mistakes, and they weren't mistakes that he got away with. that was the annoying thing. Like, everyone makes mistakes on a football pitch, and some of them just you get away with. But Moreno's mistakes were more or less, more of the time, costly than many of the other players' mistakes. And let's not forget, this was a guy as well that a couple of years ago was behind even James Milner, who is not a natural left back at all at left back. So the danger signs were there, and then obviously went out. We bought Andy Robertson for $8 million, absolute bargain. And Moreno started to play a little bit well last season. I thought Moreno played pretty well last season, and then obviously he got injured, which didn't help him at all. Robertson took full advantage of that. And then we just haven't really seen Moreno in the starting 11. He's just been used as backup. He's been used to whenever we needed to rest Robertson. He's been used there. Could it have worked if we kind of repositioned him into a attacking winger? Possibly. I think it could become an option for later in the season. There's not really much cover for Sadio Mane right now, and Mane is another player we'll get onto later in this episode, where injuries and suspensions could happen to Mane, and we may be lacking a little bit of cover there, or someone like him, depending on how certain things go. So he could have been used as a winger. I don't know. I don't really see much benefit or much. I don't really see a lot in that, to be honest. I can see good and bad in it. It could be effective. He's just got a lot of pace about him. His delivery wasn't the best. But it could work, I guess, later in the season. But obviously, it just doesn't look like we're going to be using him or renewing his contract. So it looks like he will be leaving Anfield at the end of the season. I'm a little bit annoyed that we didn't try and recapture some of that money that we had. He could have easily gone for a little bit of that money, even if it was just like half of it. But in today's market, who knows how much you actually would have gone for. The market is mad right now. So, I don't know. I'm a little bit annoyed that we didn't try and have the foresight to see this a little bit more clearly, but at the same time, it's not a massive loss altogether. The obvious thing now is, like, who do we get to replace him? And the name that's come out is Adam Lewis is the name that is amongst many to be his replacement. Now, he's a youngster in the youth academy. And Klopp really does like him. He's grown a lot in that academy, in that youth system over the past couple of years. And Jurgen Klopp seems to really like him. He seems to have real faith in him, and seems to have faith in the same way that he had it with Trent Alexander-Arnold as well. He could be the next Trent Alexander-Arnold in coming through the youth, and being a local lad as well could help with his development. And obviously, this is again another example of Klopp giving youth a chance at Anfield, which is also great to see if this is the case. Again, it's great that we use it. Is it going to be enough? It remains to be seen. But because it was also going back to the Moreno thing as well. There was also talk of him going to Barcelona. Could that still be happening? It's going to be a free transfer now, so it's not a massive gamble. We all know what Moreno's about now. We all know his strengths, his weaknesses. He's gotten better over the past year or so, I'd say, defensively a little bit, but he's still a bit like Lovren. Even though Lovren has improved as well, you still have that inkling that he's going to give you something. He's going to give you a massive golden chance at some stage during the game, and you just have to take it. A player coming in that has been heavily rumoured is Aaron Ramsey. Now, this is another guy who's out of contract in the summer, and there don't seem to be any signs of Arsenal giving him a contract. What we've heard is that Ramsey was set to sign a contract, and then Arsenal pulled out at the last second. It's a bit like Liverpool's Nabil Fekir thing in the summer where we were going to sign him, everything was pretty much signed, and then we just pulled out the last second because of his medical. This one is nothing to do with medical, but it's similar in the way that they just seem to have pulled out of giving him a new contract at the last second. He's been linked with a number of clubs, and Liverpool has been heavily mentioned. He had a massive season in the 2013-14 season, if you remember. He just hasn't quite hit the level since then. He's sort of hit his peak, it seemed, in that season, and then he just completely died down because everything he touched turned to gold in that season. He's 27 years old though, so he is quite young. He'll be 28 obviously when next summer arrives. He's a hard-working midfielder. He could adapt to being more of an attacking threat, which I think if you look at Liverpool's midfield, an attacking midfielder is something that we sort of lack of. And for a free transfer, it wouldn't be a bad shout to gamble on him. Especially when you consider that the other midfielders are Milner, Henderson, Wijnaldum and Fabinho. I mean, let's face it, how many years does Milner have left? The guy is a machine, don't get me wrong. He's an absolute machine. But how many years, realistically, does Milner have left within him? Especially if he's playing all these games and running as much as he is right now. How much does he have left? He'll be just a more attacking Henderson, you feel? And that's not like a jab at Henderson. That is honestly, I've made my feelings about Henderson perfectly clear. I think he's a good player. He's a good team player. He's good in that system that we play. I think some of the criticism, obviously, like I've said, without getting into too much detail, was a bit unfair. But I think he's good nonetheless. And obviously you expect Wijnaldum and Fabinho to be within that. And they're pretty much defensively as well. So he'll be a good attacking option to have. He'll be good to add depth. And I see it as another Oxlade-Chamberlain deal if this goes through. I see it where there's a guy that doesn't quite know or isn't quite playing his preferred role in that midfield, shall we say. And he's a guy who has got a lot of potential, but they're not using him right to unlock that potential. And I see Ramsey as another one where he's just gone off the boil a little bit since that one season that he had that was incredible. And I just think that maybe under the right manager, Klopp again, like it was with Ox, he could unlock that potential and he could become a real favourite with the Anfield faithful. So yeah, I wouldn't be completely against this. Are there better options out there than Aaron Ramsey? Of course there are. But for a free transfer, I don't see much wrong with this transfer at all. It's free, right? So I don't honestly see see anything wrong with it or much wrong with it at all. It isn't the final piece of the puzzle that we're needing in midfield, but it would definitely add to depth. That's all I'm going to say. Also, a couple more rumours just to address. I won't go too much detail in these. Roberto Firmino and Dejan Lovren have both come out as targets for, surprise, surprise, Barcelona, who apparently just love our club. Yeah, we're starting to feel like a bit like Southampton when we go in for players, if anyone hasn't made that joke already. I can see why they would like Firmino. I can't really see why they would want to take a chance on Lovren. Firmino, though, definitely. Suarez isn't getting any younger. To my knowledge, unless they're outside of Europe, there's not too many amazing or world-class strikers right now, I'd say. I'm starting to honestly say, and this might be a bold statement, but I'm starting to think that the false number 9 kind of role Firmino plays will become the future of being a striker. There aren't too many world-class strikers right now, and if there are, they're all reaching pretty much the end of their career. You'll still get, obviously, strikers that are like a Lukaku, say, that's like a big target man, or you will get strikers like an Aguero kind of thing that are genuine strikers, but I think the way going forward, the new modern way of playing, is that a Firmino-type striker is the way to go forward with most teams, and I think that's what will be the future. But yeah, it was just worth saying. I don't know how much truth there are to them rumours. Firmino's just signed a new contract, but then again, so did Philippe Coutinho. I hate to bring that up, but Philippe Coutinho did sign a new contract months before Barcelona came in, turned his head, and obviously he went off to Spain. And of course, they do have they did sign Coutinho, and Coutinho and Firmino are very good friends. So I don't know if that's a bit of pulling power there, but if Barcelona start leaking stuff into the press about Firmino will be great and trying to turn his head like Barcelona normally do in this kind of situation, because let's face it, if any other player or any other team were to do this to a player, they'd be accused of tapping up and would be reported to someone. But apparently Barcelona can do it because they did it with all sorts of players in the past. And the most notable one, obviously, in recent times is Coutinho. So fingers crossed they don't, but watch this space on that one for another possible Barcelona tapping up here. So anyway, that's transfer rumours aside. Let's go back on to the season. A review of the season so far. Basically, Liverpool are third, same points as Chelsea and Manchester City. Third only via goal difference. Played 8, won 6, drawn 2. We've already played two of the biggest rivals to the title, which are Chelsea and City. We've also played Spurs, but we're yet to play Arsenal and United. Arsenal are coming up in this next run of fixtures. United will be coming up in December. City is still to play Chelsea, United and Spurs, and this is the key thing here. We're going to go through a run that City have just been on. We're going to go through a run where we're facing these teams that are around the bottom of the table. City have just been on that run, and City have absolutely smashed each team that they come against, like 4s and 5s. And now we're kind of switching roles a little bit here. We're going to get them kind of games, and City are going to get the games that are like Spurs and Chelsea and United. And Chelsea have still got to play City, and they've got to play United, which is going to happen this weekend, by the way. So I don't know, maybe a couple of drop points there if Jose's feeling very generous towards us. Give us a little bit of a helping hand. Obviously, it's too early in the season, but anything that will give us a little bit of a helping hand now will be very generous. And of course, Chelsea have still got to play Spurs, which is always a good game to watch every season. And if you look at it as well, we drop points to our rivals. We played Chelsea, we dropped 2 points. We played City, we dropped 2 points. Chelsea dropped 2 points, not only to us, but to West Ham. We smashed West Ham 4-0. City have dropped points to Wolves and to us. We haven't dropped points against anyone below us. Well, I say below us. We haven't dropped any points to anyone below us yet. That's all I'll say. We haven't done that yet. Of course, like I said, we've got a favourable run of games coming up now. We've got the likes of Huddersfield on Saturday. We've got Red Star Belgrade in the Champions League, which is back-to-back. We've got Cardiff. We've got Arsenal. We've got Fulham. These games, Arsenal game aside, are all against teams in the bottom 4. But the Arsenal game is still winnable. And also, every time we play Arsenal, there's always a lot of goals in them games. Always. It's a great opportunity to get some confidence into the squad. A lot of goals in that squad. And in particular, we need our forward three to start firing. And Firmino's shown signs that he's starting to get there. His link-up play is getting better with each game. Just isn't quite clicking yet with them all. Mane's gone off the ball a little bit. Salah is, I wouldn't say cutting him more of a frustrated figure. I just think he's trying a little bit too hard. But I think maybe now that we're facing teams that are not as defensively well structured as some of the teams we've been facing over the past few weeks, maybe he can start getting on the score sheet more, get a few goals under his belt, get a bit of confidence up, that kind of thing. And we don't have to worry about major tough games outside of the Champions League until December, where the Christmas period starts and it's really busy, it's really frantic, and we've got to use our squad very well. Standout players this season so far for me have been James Milner, Alisson, Gini Wijnaldum, and the Gomez-Van Dijk partnership. I'll also give a special mention to Daniel Sturridge, who's come off the bench. He scored something like 4 goals, is it, in all competitions? 4 goals. And I think he scored 2 in the Premier League. And he's only played for like 45 minutes. I think if you add up the total minutes he's been on the pitch, he's played 45 minutes. He's scored like 2 goals in the Premier League. And of course he scored 1 in Champions League and 1 in the Carabao Cup as well. Which he played pretty much the entire game in both them games that he played. So very good for Sturridge. It does beg the question that if Firmino doesn't continue to perform at his best, does Sturridge deserve a start? Now, for me, the way we play means Firmino should start every game, and I love having Sturridge as a backup option. Would Sturridge like me for saying that? Absolutely not. I'm sure that with him currently being in the form and fitness of his career so far, and probably his career since, obviously, the 2012-2013 season, I believe, where him and Suarez were firing on all cylinders. I'm sure he would not like to be that plan B type player, but for right now it's working, and I think if he wants to do a job for the team, he's going to have to just keep at it, keep doing the hard work that he's doing, just wait for his chance, and just keep scoring goals whenever he gets the chance to. He will be needed over the next month, I would expect. I just think, like I say, if we can just get a few goals under our belts in these games and get like 3s and 4s, then we can just start making subs. Sturridge can come on and probably get another couple of goals whilst he's at it. This is a nice run of fixtures to have. We've said that about City for the past month or so, that City have had quite an easy or favourable run. But now it's our time to have that easy and favourable run, and now we just need to make it count. Otherwise, us moaning at City for having an easy run is just gone out the window completely, because we come for our toughest run of the campaign so far, probably our toughest run of the season, definitely to date, maybe throughout the entire season. This is going to be tough in its own way, because it's a bit of pressure that City have laid down the marker on the teams below them. We just got to get through these games. We've got to get through these games, and if we can get through them in style as well, it's an extra bonus to have. Like I say, and this is basically just till December. December, we face Bournemouth, United, Wolves, Arsenal, and City again. So we've got a pretty good run in from now until then. We just got to make it count. We've just got to make it count. We'll be facing, obviously, like I say, teams that are below us, around the bottom of the table, mid-table-ish. So we've got to make this run count. Moving on to the Huddersfield game. 5:30 kickoff. The horrible international break injury virus has spread, and it's hit Liverpool a little bit harder than we would have liked, but there seems to be some good news within it. There's injuries alleged. Earlier in the international break, there was reports of injuries that had hit James Milner, Virgil van Dijk, Sadio Mane, and Mohamed Salah. Typical, like 4 big players for Liverpool, and they're all injured on this international break. It couldn't have happened to like an Adam Lallana, say, who got injured in training or something. I don't wish injury on anybody, but it's just typical that it has to be our big players. The Van Dijk injury was apparently a recurrence of his rib injury that he's been carrying for the past few weeks, but Ronald Koeman said that he should be okay for the game at the weekend, and apparently he was seen training on Thursday, which is a good sign. So I don't think that there's much to go on there. I think that Virgil will be okay for the game. It's just a little bit of a worry that the rib injury is still acting up a little bit, and I hope that it doesn't. I just hope that it doesn't transpire into anything more. Sadio Mane's injury is apparently a hand injury that he picked up in training. He's a bit of a doubt for the game. He underwent some sort of like surgery, but it was very successful apparently. So whether he'll start or not is another thing. He's still a doubt for the game. He'll just probably play with like a protected cast if he is asked to play. But I don't think we'll risk him for Huddersfield. I think we may put him on the bench, but I don't think we'll properly risk him for this game. Even if it is a hand in, I mean, I know if he was a goalkeeper, it would be a completely different thing, of course. But I don't think that this game will require Mane if he has got a hand injury and could make it worse. I think, like I say, best case scenario, he's on the bench. And we just use it as a precaution just in case things, for whatever reason, do not go our way. Which I don't see happening, but it definitely could happen. The Mohamed Salah injury is apparently a muscle injury. He scored from a corner in Egypt's game. I can't remember who it was. I can't remember who it was against, but he scored from a corner, and in the same game came off with a muscle injury. There were rumours that it was just a precaution, that it was just a slight, he was just feeling it, and they didn't want to take any risks on it, so they took him off straight away. He's a doubt for the game, but he was, again, like Van Dijk, seen in training, so hopefully it was just like they say, precaution, and that he's going to be okay. And the Milner injury, very strange one, because it was something like a hamstring injury, which obviously he picked up in the City game, and allegedly he's made a full recovery and is available for the game this weekend, which is incredible. He is an absolute machine, if that is true, because normally in a hamstring injury, that takes about a good month or so, at least, and he's back within 2 weeks. So that is just incredible if that is the case. Again, do we risk him against Huddersfield? I don't think we do. I think he's become such an important player for us over the past year or so that I just think we don't risk him for a game against Huddersfield. Moving on to team news then, with all them injuries and everything taken into consideration. Alisson in goal is obvious. That one's pretty much set in stone, barring any injury or suspension to the Brazilian. We go back to the back four of Trent, Gomez, Van Dijk and Robertson. Trent returns, Gomez gets shifted back into centre-back, Lovren drops to the bench, which is, I know it's a bit unfair because Lovren did have a good game against City, but I think we may have put Gomez on right back and Lovren in for a reason, and I don't see there being a reason to do that for this game, especially when you consider that we're going to be on the front foot, well, we should be on the front foot in this game for the majority of it, and Trent bombing down the right wing as he normally does, whipping in crosses when needed, would be the right option. Gomez's final delivery isn't like what Trent's is, so I can only see Trent starting, and Gomez should continue his partnership with Van Dijk at the back. In the midfield, Henderson comes in for Milner because it's a like-for-like change, and it seems pretty obvious. Wijnaldum keeps his place, and the third midfield, again, is another one, because I forgot to mention, actually, that Keita is also rumoured to have been injured on the international break as well. So, does Keita start? I'm not 100% sure. And if it doesn't, again, that kind of makes the third midfield even more of a tough choice, because this could be the great opportunity for Fabinho. It could be a great opportunity for Fabinho to start, because it's a game that we're expected to win. So putting Fabinho in there and just saying, look, no pressure, we should win this game anyway, would be good. Or do we go with a Shaqiri as a sort of number 10? He basically ran the game against Southampton in this kind of central role. But as well as that, but Shaqiri could play anyway, because if the Mane injury doesn't hold up, he could be used in the front three, because the front three I was going to go with would be Salah, Firmino and Mane, the usual front three. But if Mane doesn't play, you could put Shaqiri there, and them three can easily rotate. You can go with Salah on the right, Salah, Firmino through the middle, Shaqiri on the left. You can go with Firmino on the left, Shaqiri through the middle, or you can go with Salah up front and Shaqiri on the right, Firmino on the left, or any kind of combination of them three. It's probably not as interchangeable as the Mane, Salah, Firmino thing, but it's still pretty impressive and pretty good to have. So this could be a good call up for Fabinho. Shaqiri through the middle could also happen. Shaqiri on the left could also happen. I'm expecting Shaqiri to start because I don't think that will risk Mane. And in saying that, if Keita's injury is as bad as what we're hearing, he won't be able to start. So it could be a start for Fabinho in this game through default. Which I'm not upset about. I'd like to see Fabinho play more, and I think we will definitely need to bring him up to speed, especially with the shadow of the Christmas period starting to loom over us. I do think that we need to bring him up to speed. So yeah, if you got that rambling, that was pretty much my sort of team. I'll go over it again. Alisson, Trent, Gomez, Van Dijk, Robertson, goalkeeper and defence. Henderson, Wijnaldum, and Keita/Fabinho, depending on how bad Keita's injury is. I think Keita's injury is pretty bad, so I'm probably going to say Fabinho just because Salah, Firmino, and Shaqiri will start up front because I don't think we'll risk Mane unless Mane is okay, but I doubt it. As for a prediction, I'm going to go with a comfortable 3-0 Liverpool win. We're going to need to see the clinical Liverpool, or we're going to have to see signs of the clinical Liverpool of last season returning. We're going to have to blow teams like this away, like what Manchester City done over the past month. We're going to have to match them like for like. So we're going to have to start doing that now. We can't sit in second gear against these teams and grind out a result because, it hasn't been what the past couple of years have been built on. The past couple of years that Klopp's been here, he's built on entertaining, exciting, heavy metal football. And we saw that against West Ham to an extent. We were excellent against West Ham. West Ham could not touch us, especially in the second half, could not lay a glove on us. And then, for whatever reason, since then, we've played okay at times. We've played some pretty good stuff at times, but it hasn't been consistent enough. We've grinded out results. And yeah, I'm happy that we're grinding out results finally. I'm finally happy that, maybe certain games that we may not have won in the past, we're starting to win now. And it kind of makes up for it a little bit. But I miss the heavy metal rocking football. You know what I'm saying? I miss that style of football. I miss it, and I want to see it back over the next few months because we've now got the teams. We're facing the teams now that we can use it against. It's all right grinding out results against Chelsea, grinding out results against a City, but we need to see that heavy metal football back against these teams. We've got to start blowing these teams away. I'm looking forward to it anyway. This next month or two, well, that's why we say month because obviously we've got one more international break, unfortunately. But if it comes to it again and we're ready for another international break, then it's all good because we've got to rest up and prepare for the busy Christmas schedule because that's where most points are won and lost in this season, I feel. And then we'll just see what January brings and whether it will bring us any new signings or whether we will pre-sign someone like an Aaron Ramsey for the next season. Who knows? Guys, let me know in the comment section what you think, whether it's about Alberto Moreno, whether it's about the international break, whether it's about Aaron Ramsey, Roberto Firmino, Dejan Lovren, them rumours. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of Liverpool's season so far. How would you rate the team? How would you rate the manager, Jurgen Klopp? How would you rate how the season's going so far? What were your predictions for the season ahead? What do you think of the Huddersfield game? What do you think of the injuries? Do you like the international break because of that? Or, well, not because of that, obviously, but do you think the international break needs to be rethought about everything that goes on with club football? Take club football into more consideration? What do you make of the team prediction? Do you think that anyone will start ahead of anyone that I've said? Do you have your own team prediction? What about predictions? Do you have a different prediction to mine? Similar? I would love to know everything that you think about anything that I've mentioned in this podcast. Thank you for listening, guys. Hit that thumbs up on the way out if you like podcasts. Hit the subscribe button if you're new and want to see more content like this on my channel. Otherwise, again, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another episode of the Red Zone Podcast. And I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video. Or another podcast.